Breda is a municipality and a city in the southern part of the Netherlands. The name Breda derived from Breda and refers to the confluence of the rivers Mark and Oar. As a fortified city, the city was of strategic military and political significance. Although a direct fiefdom of the Holy Roman Emperor, the city obtained a municipal charter. The acquisition of Breda, through marriage, by the House of Nassau ensured that Breda would be at the centre of political and social life in the Low Countries. Breda had a population of 180,420 in 2014. The metropolitan area had a population of 324,812. History: in the 11th century, Breda was a direct fief of the Holy Roman Emperor, its earliest known lord being Henry of Brunesham. The city of Breda obtained a municipal charter in 1252. After that, Breda had the rights to build fortifications. The city constructed brick walls and Roman-style gates. In 1327, Adelheid of Gaveren Breda sold Breda to John III, Duke of Brabant. In 1350, the fief was resold to John II of Wassenaar. In 1403, the heiress of his line, Johanna of Polanin, married Engelbert I of Nassau. Through her, the city came into the possession of the House of Nassau, where it remained until 1795, passing to William I of Orange, stayholder of Holland, Zeeland, and Utrecht and leader of the Dutch revolt. Thus the Baron of Breda was also Count of Nassau, Germany, Prince of Orange and stayholder of the Dutch Republic. Breda remained part of the Barony Breda until it was taken by French revolutionary forces in 1795. Resident city The acquisition of the city by the House of Orange-Nassau marked its emergence as a residential stad. The presence of the Orange-Nassau family attracted other nobles, who built palatial residences in the old quarters of the city. The most impressive one, built by the Italian architect Thomas Vincenzo da Bologna for the first Dutch prince, was the first Renaissance-style palace built north of the Alps. In the 15th century, the city's physical, economic and strategic importance expanded rapidly. A great church was built in Brabantine Gothic style with a gallant 97 metres high tower, called Groot Kerk or also Wansleeuw Kerk. In 1534, Henry III of Nassau-Breda rebuilt the modest medieval fortifications in impressive style. In 1534, a fire destroyed over 90% of the city, close to 1,300 houses, churches and chapels and the town hall. Only 150 houses and a main church remained. In July of 1581, during the 80 Years' War, Breda was captured by surprise by Spanish troops then under the command of Claudius van Ballemont, whose sobriquet was Holtpan. Although the city had surrendered upon the condition that it would not be plundered, the troops vented their fury upon the inhabitants. In the resulting mayhem, known as Holtpan's Fury, over 500 citizens were killed. In March of 1590, Breda fell back into the hands of the Dutch and Maurice of Nassau, when a 68-men hand-picked force, concealed under the turf of a peat boat, had contrived to enter the city in a daring plan devised by Adrian van Bergen. The so-called Spaniards' Hole marks the spot where the peat boat allegedly lay, although this has not been historically proven. After a 10-month siege in 1624 €25, the city surrendered to the Spaniards under Spinola. The event was immortalized by Diego Vila Zquez. In 1637 Breda was recaptured by Frederick Henry of Orange after a 4-month siege, and in 1648 it was finally ceded to the Dutch Republic by the Treaty of Westphalia. Stuart exiles The exiled Stuart pretender Charles II of England resided in Breda during most of his exile during the Cromwellian Commonwealth and Protectorate, thanks to the proximity of Charles's sister Mary, Princess Royal, the widow of Prince William II of Orange. Based mostly on suggestions by Parliamentarian General George Monk, Charles II's Declaration of Breda made known the conditions of his acceptance of the Crown of England, which he was to accept resume later in the same year. The Treaty of Breda was signed in the city, July 31, 1667, bringing to an end the Second Anglo-Dutch War in which the Dutch faced the same Charles II who had been their guest. Between 1746 and 1748 it was the site of the Congress of Breda, a series of talks between Britain and France aimed at bringing an end to the War of the Austrian Succession, which ultimately led to the signing of the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle. World War II. During World War II the city was under German occupation. It was liberated following a successful outflanking maneuver planned and performed by forces of 1st Polish Armored Division of General Mackay on October 29, 1944. Each year during Liberation Day festivities, Breda is visited by a large Polish contingent and the city of Breda reserves a special portion of the festivities for the fallen Polish soldiers. A museum and a monument honoring General Stanisław Mackay and the Polish 1st Armored Division stands at the city center. General Mackay and soldiers of his division are buried in a nearby Polish military cemetery. Breda was the site of one of the first panopticon prison establishments. This prison housed the only German war criminals ever to be imprisoned in the Netherlands for their war crimes during the Second World War. They were known as the Breda Four or Vijf von Breda. They were Willy Paul Frans Lags, who was released in 1966 due to serious illness, Joseph Johann Cotter Currentsila, who died in prison in 1979, Ferdinand Osterfar one Quarter NTEN, and Franz Fischer, who both were released in 1989. Fontaine and Fischer died in 1989. Administration: Breda Ginnekin, Prinsenich, Prinsenbeek, Bave, Tatteringen, Ulvenout. Administration equals, the city of Breda is divided in 7 city sectors: Breda Centrum, Breda West, Breda Node West, Breda Node, Breda Oost, which includes the Zandberg neighborhood, Breda Zuid-Oost, Breda Zuid. Topography. Topographic map image of the city of Breda, March 2014. Click to enlarge. Economy. Historically, economic activities were mainly industrial. Breda was a center of the food and drinking industry. Companies like Hero, Van Mal, De Farm and Quater are famous throughout Western Europe. Breda also had a sugar factory, supplying its best-known products. Breda beer is a world-renowned drink that is made in this region. Also, Breda formerly housed the largest brewery in the Netherlands. Interbrew, the Belgian owner of the brewery, closed the brewery in 2004. With the closing of Oranjebaum Brewery, Breda beer production was moved to both Bremen and Leuven, until 2008 when Randall's Brewery acquired the license. Guernsey is now the only place in the world where draft Breda is brewed. However, the decline of industrial activity did not harm the city's economy. Nowadays, Breda is a service-oriented economy based on business, trade and logistics. A growing number of international companies choose to establish their head office for Benelux operations in Breda. Examples of these companies are Abbott Laboratories, General Electric, ExxonMobil, Texaco, Scania, Dockwise, Toshiba, Alfa Laval, Kroon Oil and Gas, General Motors, Ritchie Brothers, Auctioneers and Amgen. Also, the food industry is still largely represented by companies such as Hero, Buffetti Van Mal, Anheuser-Busch InBev and Royal Cosun. Furthermore, the city is host to the headquarters of the Royal Netherlands Air Force. Because of his central location between the ports of Antwerp and Rotterdam, the city also attracts logistics companies. The main shopping areas of Breda are the city centre and the southern part of Breda. Known shopping centres are De Barons and T Saz. Major shopping streets are the Eenstraat, Ginnekenstraat, Wilhelminastraat and Ginnekenweg. A market is held on the Groot Markt every Tuesday and Friday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. A book and antique market is held on Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Main sites: the city centre contains old buildings and portions of the Singels and the harbour. Focal point is the Groot Markt, the main square with pubs and sidewalk cafes. Park Valkenburg is a major public park, halfway between the main railway station Breda and the Groot Markt. Major historic buildings include, the Groot Kerk or Ons Lieve Kerk, a major example of the Brabant style of Gothic architecture. The Castle of Breda. The Begethof, a beguinage. St. Anthony's Cathedral, the cathedral church of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Breda. City Hall. The Spanjaard Scot, a 16th-century watergate. Culture. The spoken language is West Brabantian, which is very similar to colloquial Dutch. For the numerous music events is the Chas Theatre. Redhead Day is a festival that takes place each first weekend of September. The two-day festival is a gathering of people with natural red hair, but is also focused on art related to the color red. Activities during the festival are lectures, workshops and demonstrations. The festival attracts attendance from 20 countries and is free due to sponsorship of the local government. Furthermore, some people refer to Breda as the opposite of Burning Man. Museums Breda hosts the following museums: Breda's Museum, Bedejhof Breda Museum, General Makuk Museum, Beer Reclaim Museum, MOTI Before the Graphic Design Museum, NAC Museum, Heemkundig Museum, Paulus van Does Donk, Museum Oorlog en Vrede, War and Peace Museum, Stichting Prince in Haags Museum. Events: Breda Dansitour, Carnaval, Breda Jazz Festival, Breda Photo, Sinjaloop Breda, Redhead Day, Breda Bast. Sport: Breda's Football Club, NAC Breda, plays in the second highest Dutch league, the Eerste Divisie, after being relegated from the 2014-15 Eredivisie via playoffs. Breda's Athletics Club, AV Sprint, is the largest club of its kind in the Netherlands. Breda's Golden Glory is a kickboxing camp. Every year in the month of October, the Brede Sinjaloop is a major road running event on the half-marathon distance with a field of national and international athletes. Notable residents: Charles II of England lived in Breda for most of his exile during the Commonwealth of England. His sister, Mary, Princess Royal and Princess of Orange, was widow of stayholder William II, Prince of Orange and co-regent for their son William III, Sovereign Prince of Orange and later King of England, Scotland and Ireland. Although neither of them were long-term residents of Breda, it was there, in 1618, that the young Rene copyright Descartes first met, and had extensive conversations with Dutch philosopher, mathematician, and scientist Isaac Beekeman. This interaction with Beekeman seems to have changed the course of Descartes' unregistered trademark intellectual life, eventually leading him to the major innovations in mathematics, science, and philosophy for which he is famous. Colonel Thomas Parker, the manager of Elvis Presley, was born and raised in Breda as Andreas Cornelius van Kuyijk. Adrian Cornelissen van der Donk, first lawyer in the Dutch colony of New Amsterdam. A polyglot, Breda is the birthplace and home to several internationally famous electronic dance music artists including O3hab, Danik, W&W, along with former and current world number one DJs Tiesto and Hardwell. The title of their 2011 collaboration track, 076, is derived from the dialing code of Breda. Breda is also the birthplace of former Olympic swimmer Karen Breenis and former field hockey player Remco van Wijk, who twice won the gold medal at the Summer Olympics with the Dutch national team, 1996 and 2000. Breda is the city where the Dutch composers Dan Munnik and Christopher Zegers live. The Dutch football international Pierre van Hooijdonk played in Breda. Other formerly international Dutch football players from NAC Breda were Antoon Verle, Kees Rivers, Kees Kuyjs, Leo Cangels, Dan Shrivers, Frans Bouwmeester, Nico Rijters, Ad Broers, Bertus Koers, Martin Vreesen and Ton Lokhoff. Ramon Dekkers, Muay Thai and kickboxing world champion, was born and died in Breda. Transportation. Trains. Breda has two railway stations, Breda and Breda Prinsenbeek, providing connections with Zuid-Holland and Tilburg Eindhoven, and from station Breda also to Roosendaal with connection to Vlissingen and Antwerp. In addition, trains also head north from Breda to Amsterdam and east to Den Bosch Nijmegen. Roads. The A16 is a motorway to the north to Rotterdam and towards the south to the Belgian border to Antwerp. The A27 is also a motorway to the north. It connects Breda with Utrecht. Furthermore, the A58 connects Breda with Tilburg and Eindhoven. Buses. Buses are operated by Arriva. There are four kinds of buses in Breda: citybuses, regional, volans and long distance. Citybuses drive only within Breda, regional buses provide connections to nearby towns and cities, volans buses are more luxurious buses driving to Etten-Leur and Oosterhout, and long-distance Brabantliners connecting both Gorinchem and Utrecht with Breda. There is also one Zealandish bus line which connects Breda with Hulst and Antwerp, operated by Confluence. Twin towns are sister cities. Breda is twinned with Rakea in Poland, Diest in Belgium, Orange in France, Dillenburg in Germany. References, notes. External links, media related to Breda at Wikimedia Commons, official website.